Hey, what's going on, guys? Brian from Zombie Guitar here. This is part 3 of the Soloing with 7th Arpeggios series, and in this part we're going to be looking at the D-shape arpeggios, okay? Part 1 we looked at the A shape, part 2 we looked at the C shape. Here in part 3 we're going to be looking at the D shape, okay? So we're going to be looking at all 5 cage shapes, C, A, G, E, D. Not necessarily in that particular order, but we're going to be looking at all 5 of those shapes in the first 5 parts. In part 1 of this series, I went the most into the theory behind this stuff, okay, which particular 7th arpeggios are found within a key, okay? So if you don't understand anything that I'm talking about in this lesson, go back and check out the previous parts. I put links below to the previous parts of the series, plus links to all the relevant lessons below this video, okay, so you can go check them out. But anyway, let's get started. So this is the D-shape arpeggios. So basically these arpeggios come from the open D major chord shape, which is this. So if you take that open D major chord shape, you can move that anywhere, okay? Your root, when it's open, is here on the D string, open D. So you could move that root anywhere and then apply the appropriate shape, and you would have that. Okay, so you can move that shape anywhere. But it's kind of tough to play that shape, incorporating that note on the D string. So we're just going to look at the high 3 strings. Okay, so we're going to look at the high E, the B, and the G string. So again, starting from that D major chord shape. The root is also found here on the B string. Okay, the note of the B string in this 3-note chord is on the B string. All right, so this is a D major chord. Here's your note D right on the B string. So you can move that shape anywhere. Okay, so say you wanted to play an A major chord. You'd find your A, your note A located on the B string. Here's your note A, 10th fret, and here's an A major chord. If you wanted to play a G major chord in this shape, you find your note G located on the B string. Here's your note G, right here, 8th fret, and you apply that shape. So that's a G chord, okay? So this is a movable shape. This can be played anywhere. So let's say we wanted to take this A major shape, alright, that's an A major arpeggio if you just play each individual note. Okay, now if you wanted to make that a major 7th arpeggio, you would go ahead and you would add in the major 7th scale degree. The major 7th scale degree is 1/2 step below the root. Okay, so using this 3-note chord shape here, knowing that your root is on the B string here, the major 7th is found 1/2 step below the root, okay? So here's your major 7th. Alright, so this is an A major 7th arpeggio. Okay? So if you wanted to make that a dominant 7th arpeggio now, again you would start with your major shape. You would find your root, which again is on the B string here. But a dominant 7th is 1 whole step below the root, okay? It's a flat 7th scale degree, so here would be where you add in your dominant 7th scale degree. So to make this an A dominant 7th arpeggio, okay? So that's an A dominant 7th arpeggio now. So the last one would be the minor 7th arpeggio. The minor 7th arpeggio starts out with the minor chord shape. Okay, so we can come back down here and start on our D minor chord. Okay, so D minor chord, just using the high 3 strings, omitting the D string, just the high 3 strings, you would have this shape. Okay, and again your root is still located on the B string. Here's your note D, D minor chord, and this can be moved anywhere. Okay, so again we'll use our A as the example. Note A right here, 10th fret of the B string, applying the shape. This is an A minor chord. Playing each note individually, it's an A minor arpeggio. Alright, to make this a minor 7th arpeggio, you go ahead and you add in your minor 7th scale degree, which is 1 whole step below the root. So here's your root here on the B string. 1 whole step below the root would be here, 8th fret, and here's your A minor 7 arpeggio. Okay, so you have your major chord shape, and then you could add in your 7th. Major 7th, I mean. And then you can have your major chord shape, and you can add in your dominant 7th. And then you have your minor shape. You can go ahead and add in your minor 7th. Alright, so this is the D-shape arpeggios for these 7th arpeggios. Okay, so just as we did in part 1 and 2, we can go and move up the fretboard looking at each of the diatonic 7th arpeggios in a key. Okay, so in part 1 and 2 we were in the key of C, so we're going to remain in the key of C for this part as well. Alright, so you remember your 1 chord in the key is always going to be a major 7th arpeggio, or major 7th chord. Your 2 and 3 chords are minor 7th. Your 4 chord is a major 7. Your 5 chord is a dominant 7, and your 6 chord is a minor 7 as well. And we're not looking at the 7th chord for this series, okay? The 7th chord is a half diminished arpeggio. We're not going to look at those in this series, okay? So, starting on your 1 chord, you would have a C major 7, okay? So remember, your root note is always going to be on the B string for all these shapes, okay? So your note C is right here. That's why this is kind of an open position chord, okay? And then your 2 chord is a minor 7 chord. Okay, D minor 7. And then your 3 chord is also a minor 7 chord, E minor 7. Your 4 chord is a major 7. In the key of C, your 4 chord is F, so F major 7. Okay, then your 5 chord is a dominant 7, so in the key of C, your 5 chord is G, so G dominant 7. Okay, and then your 6 chord is a minor 7 again, so A minor 7. Alright, and then we're not looking at the 7 chord in this series, and you're back up here on your C again, major 7 chord. Alright, so you can apply these anytime you're soloing over that particular chord. This is just for the key of C. Okay, so one last thing I wanted to point out, which you may have already noticed from the chord diagrams that I was using as I was walking down the fretboard showing each of the diatonic arpeggios, is when you're doing these 3-string variations of these 7th chords, they are rootless, okay? So if you were, let's start up here on the 12th fret. So if you were to play a C major chord up here on the 12th fret, it would look like this. And your root C is located here on the B string, okay? 13th fret B string. This is a C major chord. But if you were to play just this 3-string variation of a C major 7th chord, and you went and added in that major 7th scale degree right here, you'd be left with this. So there's no root, there's no more C anymore, okay? So this contains 3 of the 4 notes of the C major 7 chord, but you're not actually playing the root. You're playing the 5th here, the major 7th here, and the 3rd here. Okay, so if you're just playing it as a chord, this is a C major 7th, but without the root. Okay, the same thing would apply if you were to play an A minor chord. Here's your A minor chord. Your note A, your root note, is located on the B string, okay? But if you were to make this a minor 7th chord, and you went and added in that minor 7th scale degree, it would look like this. But it's, again, it's rootless. You're taking away the A and you're adding in the minor 7th scale degree, so you have your 5th, your minor 7th scale degree, and your minor 3rd scale degree. Okay? And if you want to, you can go ahead and you can add in your root on the D string as well. You can play these chords a 4-string variation, but I'm just trying to show you the 3-string variation because I think it's a little easier to play. And if you're playing with a band, the bass player will be taking care of the root anyway. So you can go ahead and you can play C major, and the bass player will be playing the C. So he'll be taking care of that. He or she will be taking care of that. Alright, so major, major 7, minor 7, then you have your dominant 7, and again that's rootless as well. This would be a G major chord, note G right here, 8th fret B string. But if you were to take away that root and add in your flat 7th scale degree, that's a G7, G dominant 7 chord, but without the G note as your root. Okay, 5th, dominant 7th scale degree, major 3rd scale degree. Okay, so that's if you're playing the chords, alright? If you're playing the arpeggios, you can add in the notes, you know, you can add in the... Okay, but if you're just playing it as a chord, you can't play 2 notes on the same string at the same time, therefore you just omit the root. Alright, so that was just the one thing I wanted to point out about this, this particular 3-string variation of this chord shape. Alright, so that is the D shape for the 7th arpeggios. The next 2 videos we're going to be looking at the G shape and the E shape. Okay, so we haven't looked at the G and the E shape yet. Alright, so that's going to be it for this lesson. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or ask me through my website or whatever. And I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.